Hi, and welcome to Training Shorts by Realty and Insurance U. In this video, I'm going to talk to you about calculating marketing trends using RPR. Let's take a look. First of all, I'm going to show you a couple of neighborhoods where it shows the value trend, one trending in a positive direction, the other one trending in a negative direction. The first one I'm going to take a look at is Arlington and Jacksonville. Arlington and Jacksonville, RPR shows the last 12 months. The values in that particular neighborhood have increased 1.4%. Over the last month, the values in the neighborhood have increased by 6.8%. And you can see the value on this graph with that particular neighborhood. Now let's take a look at Turtle Creek neighborhood. Turtle Creek neighborhood, you have the last month change is a negative 0.4%. The change over the last 12 months is a negative 3.4%. Now, keep in mind, this data you can find in RPR for every neighborhood in the nation. So if you have a particular neighborhood you're interested in, you can do exactly everything that I'm showing you here on your RPR platform. Now, the issue is this. RPR only gives you data on the last 12 months and the last month. So what if you want to find out, well, what's the data, what's the increase or decrease over the last 90 days? Or what's the increase or decrease since January? RPR doesn't give you that, but I show you there's a way you can do that by using this formula that I'm going to share with you. And that formula is latest value divided by previous value. Latest value divided by previous value. And what that will do, it will allow you to be able to calculate other data points along the timeline other than the 1 month and the 12 month. Now, a couple of notes I want you to be aware of, and then we're going to do some examples. Note one, if the answer is 1 point something, that means that the values on that time period have increased. Move the decimal 2 places to the right, drop the 1, and that will be your percent increase in value. Example, you put the numbers inside the calculator, latest value divided by previous value, you get 1.042, move the decimal 2 places to the right, 4.2% increase in value over that time period. Now note two, if the answer is point something, that means you put those numbers in the calculator and the answer was point something. That means over that time period, there has been a decrease in value in that particular neighborhood. In that case, take that number, subtract it by 1, then move the decimal 2 places to the right to get your percent decrease in value. Example, I put my latest value in, divided by previous value. I got 0.9545, subtract the 1, that gives me a negative 0.0455. Move the decimal 2 places to the right. That means in that particular time period, it was a negative 4.5% decrease in value. Let's take a look at an example so you can see clearly what I'm talking about here. Again, let's look at Arlington. Remember, we only have 12 months and we have 1 month. But I want to find out what was the increase or decrease since January. RPR doesn't give us that, but let's take a look at our example. Here's my example here. Arlington and Jacksonville, 12 months. What I'm going to do, the latest value, so I'm going to go back to, before I do January, what I want to do is verify that the formula works. I want you to take a look at that first. So the 12 month in Arlington, the latest value, take a look at the latest value, 207,710. That's that number right here. This is the latest value. And then when I go back to August, to the previous value, 204,860. Here's my 204,860. So let's calculate it. 207,710 divided by 204,860 equals 1.0139. There's a 1 point something, it's a positive increase, 1.4%, and that matches up with the calculation inside RPR. So that lets us know our formula works. And if you did the same thing with the last month change, if I got the latest value and I went back 1 month, I would get 194,420. And if I divide that, that's 1.068, move the decimal 2 places, 6.8%, just like they have here. So we know our formula works. So now that we know our formula works, now we can find any value along that timeline and plug the numbers in. We're always going to have the same latest value, which is 207,710. But what I want to go back to January and see what was it like from January. The value in January is 201,000. So that's 1.033. That gives me 3.3%. Why is that important? If someone comes to you on this particular neighborhood and say, hey, listen, I see some data that says that the values in this neighborhood only increased by 1.4% over 12 months. Well, you can come back and say, hey, take a look at this. Over the last month, the values increased by 6.8%. And then you can go back to January by using the calculation and say, since January, the values have increased 3.3%. So if you look at this particular neighborhood, yes, over the 12 months, it may have been that, but it is trending in the right direction. So that's one of the ways that you can use those additional numbers by being able to calculate different time periods along those market trends. So make sure you use that latest value divided by previous value to get a better picture of what's going on with the increase or decrease in the neighborhood, because RPR only gives you that 1 month, 12 month, but sometimes you need to know what's going on in the middle of that, and you'll have to use the calculation to do that. Now let's look at the other neighborhood, Turtle Creek. They have a decrease in value. If I went and I did the latest value, which is 263,790, which I come over here, that's the latest value, 263,790, and I go back 12 months, I'm going to get 273,130, and when I divide them, I'm going to get 0.9658. And remember, if it's point something, that means that during that time period of 12 months, there's been a decrease in value. And then I'm going to subtract it by 1, move the decimal, and I get negative 3.4%. And if I go up here, it matches up the calculation that RPR has. And if I did the same thing on the last month and I went back 1 month and got that data, I would get a 264,870. I would get 0.9959 minus 1, and I would get a negative 0.4%, just like RPR calculated. So we know our formula again. Our formula works. Now, what I want to do is go along the line and see what else is going on, what's been happening a few months ago, since January, to get a clearer picture of really the direction the property is going in. Let's do this. I'm going to go back to May, this dip right here in May. When I go back to May, that previous value is 260,180. So I got, since May, my latest value, which is always the same, 263,7 divided by 261,80 equals 1.0138. Take a look at that. Everything is point negative in this neighborhood, but since May, there's been a growth of 1.4%. So looking at all this negative over the 12 months, negative over 1 month, there is some possibility because the value actually increased 1.4% since May. And the only way we would know that is if we understand the latest value minus the previous, divided by the previous value to figure that out. So that's something that you would have to tell your customer. You have to watch closely to see if that particular neighborhood is going to try to increase. It appears it went up, it came down. Will it go up again? But at least you have a conversation other than everything is pointing towards the negative. And you're able to do that by understanding the formula, dividing the latest value by the previous value. So make sure when you're looking at market trends, that you look at the market trends that RPR gives you, the 1 month and the 12 month, but have a good understanding on how to use this formula so you can get a clearer picture 90 days ago, 6 months prior, maybe to the beginning of the year, to get another picture of the market trends. Utilize that data, utilize that information. It will be beneficial to you. I thank you for your time, and I hope this information helps you in some way. Have an excellent day.